One of the easiest ways to obtain residency in Serbia is through a business. Now, that doesn't matter if it's a LLC or what we call a DOO or a self-employed business or an entrepreneurship business. But there are some essential points that you need to know about starting a business that will affect what type of business structure that you determine to set up. And today we are going to talk about the essential steps that you need to take before starting a business. Now, as a foreigner, the best way to obtain residency, like I just mentioned, is by setting up a business. However, there are some things that you need to take into consideration, such as legal and tax benefits when it comes to determining the type of business that you're looking to set up. Now, by no means is this video professional legal advice. We do help our clients with setting up businesses regardless of what type of business they are. However, this video is not specifically for you, the viewer, because every case is a as need basis or a special case. And so this is almost like a ballpark figure of what you need and what you won't need and things to look into before you look at setting up a business here in Serbia. Now, the first one that I'd like to talk to you about is the legal structure. Now, I've had multiple conversations with individuals who have said, hey, listen, there's me and my partner, we want to come and set up a business in Serbia, and we want the cheapest way that there is possibly to be done. And that's great. However, are you and your partner looking to do this one business together? Because if you are looking to set up a business as a partnership, then the best way is to go through a corporation. And so that you can have a director, a owner, a shareholder, whatever it might be, an employee perhaps. However, that's not going to be the most cost-effective way, or cheap as some people like to say. And we don't do anything cheap here. We do everything by the book, legally, effectively. Our team is great at helping people do things the correct way and not just rushing them through the process. And so if you're going into a partnership with someone who is wanting to do this as a joint venture, then a DOO is something that you're going to want to set up. And of course, it's not going to be the cheapest. However, if you're just a simple digital nomad that builds websites, that does digital marketing, whatever it might be, then an entrepreneurship business will be the route that you take, because one, it's the quickest and easiest way to set up, fastest way to get residency through because there's less paperwork to set up the company. There's less legal requirements. It's a flat rate tax system as well when you do set up an entrepreneur business, and you can do it from anywhere you want. There's no tax accountants involved. There's no bookkeeping involved up until you get to about 60,000 euros in sales, and then you are able to switch that over into using a bookkeeper or actually switching it over into a corporation at that point as well. But if you're two individuals looking to do the same business, it's going to be very difficult to do the same business in one structure as two separate entrepreneurs. How's that going to work? Well, that's going to be up to you. Is it possible? Sure, I guess, but the best way to do it is to set up a DOO. Now, the next one that you're going to be looking at doing also is, or understanding, is that when you do set up the structure here in Serbia, that foreigners have 100% company ownership. Now, that's one of the big concerns that people were asking me in consultation. Say, Andre, just as a foreigner, because I set up a company in Serbia, that doesn't mean that I'm still full ownership because I don't have any ties to that company. The state can close it down if they feel so. No, you as an individual have 100% ownership of your business, and you do not need a local partner in order to do so. So you don't need someone like myself or anyone on our team or any other lawyer that may give you that information saying, hey, listen, we need to be a partner with you because that is the law. If someone tells you that, they're giving you bad information. And we've had people come to us saying that they work with some of the best lawyers out there and that their lawyer told them X, Y, and Z, and actually it was ABC. And just because a lawyer claims that they are the best does not mean that they're actually giving you the best and correct advice either. And that's why a lot of people turn to us. We recently had an individual that wanted to set up a holdings company here last year, worked with another attorney, and what he thought was a holdings company as a corporation ended up being a sole proprietorship business in his name. And so he said that's not exactly what I wanted, but it wasn't clear enough. And so now this year they're returning back and we're going to be having to correct that. So make sure that whoever you do get to set up your business, hopefully it is us here at Relocation Serbia, that they do it right. Now, a DOO can own property here in Serbia. That's another thing that people look into. But if you're a foreign company, you cannot own an apartment. You have to be a Serbian registered LLC in order to own any sort of housing, apartments, so on and so forth. But if you're a foreign company, there are some certain properties that you can own outright when it comes to that nature as well. Now, the second thing that you need to keep in mind is having a Serbian business address. So if you are a digital nomad and you're looking to set up a entrepreneur business, say it is digital marketing, website design, some sort of IT that you're into, whatever it is that does not require a physical location, such as a restaurant or, selling a clothing boutique or whatever it might be, you can use your personal residence here in Serbia. So if you're renting an apartment or a house, you can use that as your business address as well. Now, if you are a LLC, you can do the same thing as well. However, the difference is that if, like I said, if you are a restaurant, a clothing business, if you're doing some sort of procedures on a person themselves, which is an in-person business, where you actually have to have clients coming into your business must be registered at that location because you will have to also be then dealing with inspections of your facilities, making sure the codes and regulations are up to par depending on what type of business that you're setting up. Now, there's one way that you can work around certain scenarios of the type of business that you're setting up is that you can use a virtual address where your mail is essentially sent to one address and then they forward it to another address. Or you can use a co-working space as well. And that's something that we can help our clients with as well. So understand that there's some discrepancies when it comes to what type of business you're setting up and what type of address that you're using as well. The next one is going to be that you get your tax ID and open a business bank account. So you have to make sure that you register with the APR, and then you get your PIB number or your tax number, and you open up your bank account. And this can be done with your articles of incorporation or your confirmation as an entrepreneur business. And then you can take your ID that you have, either temporary residency or passport, and take that to the bank and open up a bank account that way as well. Depending on the bank that you're working with, though, some may open it up, some may not. Bank regulations change, almost seems like monthly. So it's best to work with someone who speaks the language, who is kind of, that stays up to par with these regulation changes and that can work in your best interest, and so that you're not running around. And sometimes these banks that do allow you to set up a bank account without having temporary residency won't have the best digital platform, or some of them will. It all depends. And we have a couple banks that we do recommend that people set up with depending on their needs. Now, once you set up your business, regardless if it's a DOO or an entrepreneur, then it's time to set up your residency and work permits. And so you're first going to need to set up your business structure first before you apply for residency and your work permits, which is all in one package on that side as well. So you're going to start your company. That's going to be your pathway to residency, and then you're going to apply for your temporary residency through your business. And so when you do apply for your residency, you're going to also apply for a work permit, which will be typically good for 1 year. You're going to also need to hire a local accountant if you're setting up a DOO. That is mandatory 100%. We have some good accountants that we can recommend throughout Serbia that are not ripoffs, that do work with people that are foreigners. So if you're coming from the United States, you have tax, certain tax implications such as your personal income earned. That's going to be double taxed here in Serbia as well as the United States. But if it's on your corporate side, that's not going to be taxed because the corporation is here in Serbia and has no ties to the United States. And setting up that local account is going to have to be done in a certain period of time after setting up your DOO. And you're also going to have to get your digital signature card as well so that you can give your accountant, lawyer, so on and so forth, authorization to work on your behalf. Now, the next one is that you need to understand the tax system as well. The corporate income tax here in Serbia, which I've mentioned before, is truly amazing, and that's 15%. VAT is 20%, and payroll taxes is going to be done on your own, depending on what type of business you have and what you're looking to offer your clients or your employees. That's going to have to be done with your tax advisor as well. And Serbia, of course, does have double tax treaties with many countries, unfortunately not with the United States. And so if you are an individual as an entrepreneur, you are coming in from, Australia, Canada, other parts of Europe, and you're earning personal income, you can just pay taxes here in Serbia and not pay it in your home country. And that's something that we have lots of experience with as well. And there are not too many tax accountants that like to work with foreigners. And so we make sure that the accountants that we work with are easily adaptable to working with foreigners and know the laws of their home country. The next one is that you're going to have a capital requirement into your bank account, and that's going to be about €1 minimum capital requirement into your bank account. You're going to also have setup fees such as legal, your residency taxes, your corporate taxes, your digital ID card, your digital signature card, so on and so forth. And one of the beautiful things that we do here at Relocation Serbia that a lot of clients enjoy after working with some of the ones that weren't so great to work with is that we have an all-in-one pricing structure. So the fee that you pay us is the only fee you pay us. So we don't, charge one fee and then you got to go to the notary, translator, so on and so forth. And it's more, cost on you. We give you one price that covers notaries, translators, your residency, your business setup, so on and so forth, so that you can focus on growing your business, getting set up here in Serbia. And then also, when you do set up your business, you're going to have to ensure that you have the actual correct documentation, such as where you went to school, what credentials do you have, what work experience do you have in that field to be able to run that type of business. Because when we do set up your business, we need to set up the proper activity code for that type of business, which will determine the tax bracket or the flat rate tax that you pay as an entrepreneur. But if you're a DOO, it's going to be 15% flat rate tax. Now, there are some R&D tax credits that you can receive here in Serbia, depending on the type of business, but I'll leave that on a future video. And then you're also going to need to have all the documents, if you do not speak Serbian, translated into English. So our attorneys, when we do our articles of incorporation, we have it both in Serbian and English for our clients. We do everything as well for the notaries that are needed to be notarized and authenticated, so that there are no hiccups in that sense. And one thing to give a little bit of advice to, if you're looking to do business here in Serbia, it would not hurt to learn some basic Serbian, or hire a translator to help you deal with the administrative tasks of, say, filing your documents, picking up certain items, trying to get the best pricing structure for whatever your business needs when it comes to internet, buying computers, buying electronics, whatever it might be, furniture. It all depends on your type of business. So those are the tips I'd like to just put out there as a foreigner looking to come into Serbia. If you want to set up a business, those are things that you're going to need to keep in mind. If you need help, please feel free to set up a consultation with me and my team. We can go through your case-by-case basis, because this is not applicable to every single individual. This is a ballpark type of structure. And so depending on what your situation is and how you want to structure things, it's best to sit down with us for a consultation so that we can give you the correct and proper advice, so it makes your move and transition here in Serbia that much easier.